It's confession time, so we need something from the drunk. I was going to say the drunk's trolley. But I suppose there's a lesson there for all of us. What have you grabbed from the trolley today?
Nice hazy pale ale today called Boost, 4%, and Nelson Sauvin and Montuca and Citra hops. I thought you would like.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no idea what difference that would make, but it sounds
big
like
difference. I think
sounds like a good one.
Nice
to
and
me.
tropical, really fruity, delicious.
I'll have that one. Okay, thanks very much. Keep me a half for later. Today's confession comes from Jamie and Sarah. Okay, I suppose a little bit of a PG vibe going on here. Father Simon and the Confessional Collective. My confession takes us back to, mind you, if you heard the fact that it's called Don't Look Ethel and you remember the Ray Stevens song, you'll know where we're heading.
Okay.
My confession takes us back to when wife Sarah and I were driving through the countryside, following a sat-nav that had clearly become as lost as we were. The little car crept along the narrow country lane, hedges pressing in from both sides like they were trying to squeeze the vehicle back out the way it came. The sat-nav had long given up any meaningful guidance and was now just showing a tiny arrow floating hopelessly in a sea of green. We've all had that moment where it's clearly given up the ghost. And then we spotted a group of ramblers ahead. Now, first I assumed that they were an ordinary walking group, and then second glass confirmed that they were a very relaxed walking group. In fact, naturist ramblers.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
A full pack of them. Boots on, socks on, everything else, not so much. Don't look, Sarah, I said. I'm not looking, she replied, while obviously looking.
Yeah.
There were at least a dozen of these naturist ramblers. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Rambling.
Wow.
Good luck to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were chatting cheerfully, completely at ease with themselves, the countryside and life. And also, apparently, the concept of trousers being entirely optional. The lane was far too narrow to turn around, so our only option was to continue forwards at a crawl and to squeeze past. Right, I thought, we'll just gently sneak our way along here. Hope we don't scrape anyone.
Oh, dear.
Oh.
The ramblers kindly began to move aside to let us pass. Unfortunately, aside meant stepping directly into the hedgerows. The first gentleman confidently stepped backwards and immediately jumped forwards again. Another rambler stepped back confidently, then immediately he leapt forward again. Oof, nettles, he yelped, hopping about with surprising agility, jumping around and jiggling in the breeze.
Oh.
Sarah clapped her hand over her mouth. She's my
Yes,
partner, you remember?
Yeah, no, we got that.
Oh no, that's awful, she said. Yes, I said, that's why we invented trousers.
Correct.
Channeling his inner Matt. Anyway, sadly, the warning came too late. One after another, members of the group attempted to squeeze into the hedgerow and were met with the same prickly resistance. There was a chorus of startled yelps, awkward dancing and hurried repositioning as they tried very hard to avoid further botanical surprises. Mind the hedge! Careful, not there. Definitely not there. Don't turn around.
Oh, no. Don't turn around.
They hit for Aswad, of course,
Yes,
but
of
that's
course.
not what they were thinking. The lane quickly became a chaotic corridor of hurried sidestepping, polite smiles, and rather desperate attempts to keep a safe distance from the stinging greenery. Delicate, unprotected areas remain delicate and very unprotected. This, of course, was not my fault. Morning, one of them said brightly, as if nothing at all was unusual. Lovely day for a walk, said another, whilst inching sideways like a crab. Yes, I replied, unconvinced. Perfect weather for a drive. Meanwhile, Sarah was biting a lip and studying the dashboard with intense concentration.
Yeah.
Don't look, Sarah, I repeated. I'm trying not to, she said, unsuccessfully suppressing a laugh. The car edged forward inch by careful inch through what felt like the most awkward gauntlet in British motoring history. Every now and then came another sharp intake of breath from the hedge as someone discovered a patch of nettles that they hadn't previously negotiated. Normally I would just have been worried about running over toes, but now there were other areas of concern.
Oh, boy.
Finally, mercifully, the last rambler was behind us. We accelerated as if escaping the scene of a very peculiar crime. The moment the last rambler disappeared from view, Sarah burst into laughter. "I told you not to take the shortcut," she said. Here we go, so it's traditional argument now. Sat-nav. "But I could only agree. From now on," I said firmly, "we stick to A roads, motorways, anywhere with signs and fences." And, said Sarah, "people wearing clothes." So, Father Simon, thank you for indulging what may have been the most awkward detour of our lives. To the ramblers concerned, I must ask forgiveness for inadvertently contributing to what must have been a rather prickly morning. We do hope the ramblers in question recovered quickly and that any lingering stings, physical or otherwise, may have faded with time. Please know we never intended to interrupt their walk, nor to contribute to what must have been a rather prickly... I think you used that word slightly too much.
Yeah.
We've since learned two valuable lessons. Never trust a sat-nav over common sense, and always approach hedgerows with caution, properly dressed or otherwise. I mean, I can see, we've been here before, and I can see the attraction of swimming, maybe. That's looking. Well, what I mean is I can see, but I can't see the attraction.
Oh, skinny dipping.
Yeah, but I can't really see the attraction of going for a hike through the countryside, using a public road, and just wearing boots and socks. Anyway, Sister Susie, what are you saying?
Well, it, kind of each to their own, maybe. I don't understand it, because what if you fell over and then would you just be scrapes and everything everywhere? And, you know, there's like holly bushes and prickles that they need to worry about, as well as nettles. But it made me laugh, and also it just made me laugh at how uncomfortable Matt was imagining the whole thing. So for that reason, I'm going to forgive.
Brother Matthew.
I once again find myself at odds with the with our nudist cousins, because who goes hiking in the altogether with all the brambles? Why would you go near the bramble? Why aren't you just in a field? Or even better, wearing clothes?
Was it a little continental for you?
It's far too continental for my taste. But even the continentals aren't doing that, are they?
I don't think so.
mean, my goodness me. And you've got to have to squeeze up against the nettles. So, yes, I'm going to forgive. You shouldn't have been in the first place. Shouldn't have been going down a narrow alley with your... everything out. So for that reason, I'm going to forgive.
All right. Okay, people's verdict, please. 61054. Do you forgive Jamie and Sarah for the most awkward gauntlet in motoring history? Just before the news, a confession from Jamie and Sarah and how their sat-nav went wonky. They got lost going down a narrow country lane and had to squeeze through a dozen naturists who were out for a ramble. You know, the way they do. Anyway, the people's verdict is in. Here we go.
Forgiven, says Martin. Why on earth were the naked ramblers walking down a public road? This is obviously all their fault. Nicola and Rickmansworth says, forgiven. Hilarious confession. I love walks in the countryside, but I cannot even imagine what would possess someone to think it'd be best to walk around in the nude. Nettles, thorns, bugs, and aren't they freezing cold? But Anonymous says, forgiven. As a naturist rambler myself, I just put up with the occasional discomfort. I don't know why I did it in that voice. Dear, oh dear.
No,
I just came across.
Very, very strange voice. Your naturist rambler voice. Okay, so maybe there are other naturist rambler stories. If you have a confession, let us know. It's confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. Right, okay, that's very good. I'll make a note of that. Anyway, time for like a sharp note, I think. What do you have before we head into confession territory, Suze? What have you got?
Well, I thought this was very apt today. It's from Michaela, it's from Denmark, and it's a non-alcoholic IPA called Weird Weather.
Yeah,
well, that works
good.
perfectly. Yes, very good.
I thought so.
Whatever it tastes like, weird weather. I'll have half a pint of weird weather. Thank you very much indeed. That's certainly true. So today's confession actually picks up from where you were with the quiz.
Oh, yes.
With the on this day in history.
Yes.
1968.
Of course.
That's where we are with this particular story.
Wow. Well
which
done.
comes from Tim. And it's, if you're eating... Dear Father Simon and your very attractive and forgiving co-host.
Good word.
Nice.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to take you back, if I may, to the year of 1968. The year of the Euros.
Yeah, yes, Ken Rosewall.
And all that. With Rod Laver. When I was a young whippersnapper of just 7 years of age. My name is Tim, and I lived with my parents and my older brother, Andrew. The incident that I am seeking forgiveness for happened on a Monday night, which everyone of a certain age will know is bath night. You need to start the week clean, or else all decency is lost and civilization collapses. I'm not sure.
No, that is true. Yeah.
Overstating it a bit, maybe.
Yeah.
This particular night, after my mum had made sure that I was clean I had my brand new Action Man to play with, now with realistic hair, is what it said on the box. He had a fast attack speedboat, although it was actually called an assault craft, and came with an outboard motor and 2 black paddles.
Ooh.
How about that? His mission was to destroy the German U-boat. Different times. But that's what all bath times were like in 1968. But he had to be careful because there was a plastic shark in the water and a large plastic duck, which was bigger than him. Now, I know this is obviously not realistic, but it was 1968, and back then ducks were bigger than sharks.
Yes, they were.
After about 10 minutes of searching for the U-boat, that's a long time to look for a U-boat in the bath, and avoiding the shark, I had a sudden urge, as we said in 1968, to spend a penny.
Oh dear.
I think we all know.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yes,
I think we all know.
I know.
I didn't want.
Gloss over it.
Okay, I didn't want to go in the bath. Obviously,
No.
I was a 7-year-old with standards, but I also didn't want to get out of the bath because Action Man might get eaten by the shark, and that would have been a very bad outcome. Your Action Man is someone to cherish and look after. You don't want him to be eaten by a shark. Think of the shame. You go to school, where's your Action Man? He's been eaten by a shark. Is that the Action Man now with real hair? Yes. Anyway, he's been eaten, so that's not good enough. So at that moment, I saw a nearly empty shampoo bottle
Oh no.
on the end of the bath. Herbal essences, it said.
Remember them, yes.
Perfect, I thought. I can relieve myself in the bottle and dispose of it later. Of course, I forgot about that
Of course
and
you
left it
did.
on the end of the bath. That is until the following evening when my father decided to have a bath.
Oh no.
When he'd finished, he came downstairs and started moaning to my mother
No.
about that useless bottle of shampoo. I couldn't get it to lather, and those herbs smell weird. Yes, she said, I bathed Andrew earlier, and I couldn't get it to lather either. I won't buy those herbal essences again. Father Simon, I have kept this secret now for 58 years. And feel it's time to confess my sin. I'd like to seek forgiveness from my father and older brother, who had their hair washed with wee.
Okay, no, we've got that.
Also from my mother, I had to put up with all the moaning, and she didn't know about it either. I would also like to add that I do believe I have been given divine judgment. As 58 years on, I am very follically challenged. Yet my brother and father, who is still going strong at 95, both have a full head of hair. Have I just stumbled on a miracle cure for baldness? Well, that was, if karma was a thing and it worked, then maybe that was true. Anyway, now I'm not suggesting that is a good cure. That does work at all.
No, we don't know, do we?
No,
It does
don't try
it does keep the foxes out of your garden, apparently, if you do it in the night. Anyway, it's a bath stories mostly end the same way, and this one certainly went there. But maybe he's justified because he has important work and he had to save his Action Man. What do you say, Suze?
Just get out the bath and go for a wee. Like, I know he was 7, but the thing that I have an issue with Tim on this is just tidy up after yourself. Why have you just left an empty shampoo bottle, or not so empty shampoo bottle on the
Because he was
side?
7.
Just put it in the bin. Still, if you learn young,
Yes.
then it'll stay with you for life, won't it? But disgusting, really. Not for me.
You would think if you washed your hair in that,
Yes.
that you instantly would go, that's not shampoo. That's
That
champy.
smells
That's
like-
what you'd
Oh,
say.
shampoo, very good, very good.
Shampoo.
Yeah. Anyway, Brother Matthew.
Yes, I'm going to forgive because I agree. You would have. We all smell the shampoo, surely, and you'd have known straight away that that's not what. And also, maybe it has had some effect on the old male pattern borderless. I mean, no clinical trials, but maybe they should try.
Yes.
Maybe no one's thought of that yet, and then we'll know 20 years down the line when we've all got massive heads of hair that was the reason why.
Thanks,
but
I
maybe
don't
not.
be part of the experiment.
Probably not. So I'm going to forgive. Well done, Tim.
Okay, so it's forgiveness for Tim. That is the question. Yes or no on the people's verdict. 61054. Also, just before we got to the news, we had a confession from Tim, age 7, from 1968. It's bath time. He has an Action Man, real hair, a shark, a duck, a shampoo bottle, which becomes a shampoo bottle with hilarious consequences. And the people's verdict is in. Here we go.
Not forgiven, says Barry. How far away was the loo from the bath? Surely you could have just nipped out and then nipped back in. Going to the effort of going in the shampoo bottle seems like way too much effort.
But the shark might have
But
got
the
Action
shark,
Man.
of course. KW in Buckinghamshire says, not forgiven. Utterly disgusting. Bone lazy for not getting out of the bath, and I'm glad he's bald. Seems harsh. Stuart says Tim is absolutely forgiven. Action Man needed protecting, and he was actually being quite posh for not going in the bath. Also, there could be a whole new brand of shampoo. Timothy.
Good.
Tears. Great show, people. Keep up the good work, Matt.
Okay.
Thanks, Stuart.
All right, so you just get a little bit of praise.
Well done,
about that.
Stuart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the verdicts. Thank you for all the confessions. Please send yours to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. And if you're joining in with that, you need something from the trolley, I think, just to lubricate things as we proceed. What are you offering today, Suze?
I've got a very lovely IPA from Arbor called Sam I Am. It's 5.6%, so a little bit pokey, but it's very tasty with Simcoe, Ayazaka and Mosaic hops.
I have no idea what difference that makes, but it's going to be very tasty.
I think so.
Kind of citrusy, herbally, pine. Lovely.
Okay. We'll have a half bit later on then, maybe. Today's confession, which has a similar theme to yesterday, it comes from Al. Thanks, Al.
Yeah.
Father Simon, Brother Matt, Sister Susie, Holy Holly and the Conclave of Clemency. My poor mum had a bad fall about 8 weeks ago and has been in hospital ever since, and it's fair to say that she's missing home and needs cheering up badly. So I'm writing to you to ask for help. The confession I am submitting is legendary in our household. So it's a confession on behalf of Mother.
Okay, yeah.
Mum was always telling us innocent lies for a bit of fun. The most persistent of which was her telling us that she was 21. It didn't matter how many years had passed, she was always 21.
Yeah.
Even now, she still jokes about being 21. Though on the occasion of this confession, this innocent fib backfired on her. I was about 9 years old at the time and my brother was 7. Our family didn't have much money and didn't have many outings, but one day the circus came to town and my mum and auntie decided to treat me, my brother and our cousins all to the spectacle of the big top and even pushed the boat out to get us all tickets for ringside seats. When we arrived at Aberdeen Beach, we were greeted with the awesome sight of the big top tent, flags fluttering in the breeze, the twinkling lights, the hustle and bustle of the gathering crowd, the sound of music emanating from the side stalls and the smell of popcorn, candy floss, hot dogs and burgers moving on a bit then, and an undercurrent of circus animals all wafting through the air. Mum treated us all to hot dogs, candy floss and large bottles of juice. And by now we were all absolutely hyper and bouncing around and becoming uncontrollable. By the time the ringmaster came out, we were all a whooping and a cheering in anticipation, and so the show began. Oh, how we oohed and ahed as we watched the trapeze artists perform their death-defying aerial ballet. How we laughed at the slapstick comedy gold of the clowns with their rickety car. And then the next act came on. This was a large, beautiful white horse with an equally beautiful lady riding on its back.
Ooh.
The pair rode around the ring many times as the lady performed all kinds of acrobatics whilst balancing on the horse's back. We were all clapping and cheering whilst the lady brought the horse to a halt in the centre of the arena, and the ringmaster came out with a microphone in his hand and proceeded to ask if there were any daring young ladies in the audience who would like to come forward and join in with the act. Fueled by a sugar rush and a good dose of E-numbers, we then erupted from our seats, screaming and shouting to the ringmaster, "Over here, our mum! Our mum, she's 21! Over here, she's young! Look, she's 21!" The ringmaster then marched over to the ringside and announced her over the tannoy. "Let's give it up for this daring young lady here," as the audience started clapping. Mum protested vociferously, but between the peer pressure from the audience and a bit of cajoling from the ringmaster and the look of pride and adoration from her children, she stepped over the barrier and walked over to the horse. Whilst the ringmaster continued to work the audience, a big burly man came out and proceeded to fit a safety harness onto Mum and then attach it to a safety rope which had descended from the heavens of the tent. With Mum now securely fastened, the acrobatic lady helped Mum onto the horse whilst the big burly man took up the slack on the safety rope. What could go wrong? The lady proceeded to lead the horse round the arena as Mum bounced along on its back, getting used to the sensation, speeding up from a walk to a trot to a canter. All was going well when the ringmaster asked Mum to now go from a seated position to kneeling position. White-faced with fear and gripping for all she was worth onto the horse's bridle and the safety rope, Mum did as she was asked and after a couple of laps of the ring had managed to get onto her knees. This was pure entertainment for us, watching Mum being an unexpected star of the show. We were cheering at the top of our lungs when the ringmaster then asked her to stand up on the horse's back. Now, none of us have ever been entirely sure what happened next, Father Simon. Whether Mum had started to fall from the horse or if it was an actual part of the act, we'll never know. But the big burly man suddenly yanked hard on the safety rope and launched Mum straight up into the air, spinning her round high above the ring. Unfortunately, the yanking of the safety rope had pulled the safety harness tight around her abdomen, squeezing her bladder at the same time, making her instantly regret drinking a large bottle of juice just an hour previously. Mum's...
No.
Imagine where she is. Mum's face turned from white to a bright shade of red, as her light grey trousers took on a dark shade of grey, and streams of fluid poured forth and fell to the ground in an elegant spiral pattern.
Nice.
There were roars of laughter from the audience, and after a few humiliating aerial laps of the ring, the big burly man realised what was happening and gently lowered Mum back to the ground, where she landed and watched her dignity soak into the sawdust floor.
What?
Mum was then swiftly escorted backstage, where she was cleaned up as best they could and returned to a big round of applause from the crowd when she retook her seat. So I ask for forgiveness on behalf of me and my brother for putting our Mum forward into participating in a circus act, which resulted in her becoming the highlight of the show. Yours respectfully. That's from Al. Well, hopefully that's cheered your mum up, Al. It's cheered everyone else up. What a story. There is danger in just drinking too much before the circus. Sister Susie, what do you say?
Oh, Alex has really made me laugh, that one. What's that circus doing? What's the ringmaster doing? Who can stand on a horse? Can you stand on a horse?
Yeah, anyone can stand on a horse with a rope.
I just think that's just absolutely demanding far too much. And also a few aerial laps. They need to realise what was going on a bit sooner. I love Al's mum and I'm with her. Mums are allowed little fibs. I'm going to forgive her.
Brother Matthew.
Oh, that is super. I'm going to forgive. I can't believe she came back in. I don't think I'd have come back in. Hey, everyone, remember
She had to
me?
get her children.
I was the one with the grey trousers. So, yeah, I'm gonna definitely forgive. That was the best one we've done for a while, I think. Very, very funny.
Okay, 61054. First word is silent. So just before the news, we had a confession from Al about his mum always used to say she was 21. So, therefore, when they went to the circus in Aberdeen, she was picked on as a young lady and hoisted up high, but unfortunately she'd had too much fluid.
Yes.
And so therefore there were hilarious consequences which disappeared into the sawdust. The people's verdict is in. Here we go.
Daryl in St Ives says, forgiven. I feel so sorry for the mum. It is definitely the circus's fault. The poor lady didn't know she was going to be flung in the air.
Correct.
Jean in Macclesfield, forgiven. As a trained horse rider myself, how on earth does the average person kneel and then stand up on a horse? I think she did tremendously well, considering. Yes. And Beth in Banstead says, forgiven. Total hats off to the mum for coming out afterwards and waving to the crowd. After that experience, I think I'd be scarred for life.
Yeah, you would think that she would just want to hide and not make
just leave the kids.
A triumphant appearance. Anyway, she got a big round of applause. So it was a lovely story. Al, thank you very much indeed. If you have a confession for us, please send it to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk. I think I'm in the mind for a little bit of a sharpener here, but it just depends. It just depends what we're going to get served up here. What have you got, Suze, on your trolley?
Well, I thought, start of the World Cup, what more could you want than a golden lager? So I've picked Hometown, which was from Fierce Beer in Aberdeen. Classic, Tetnanga hops, touch of Vienna malt and some barley, 4.2%. Classic beer to drink with the World Cup.
There you go.
Sounds very good.
Yes.
Thank you. Don't forget our top new World Cup feature called Match of the Day.
Match of the day.
It's a World Cup, but with music. You're going to love it in the next hour. Okay. Today's confession comes from Mick, Father Simon, Matt, Brother Matt, sisters Holly and Susie. My confession goes back to the innocent days of the early 60s. Spurs had just won the Cup 2 years running.
Oh, yes.
So all was good with the world. So that's like 61, 62.
Yes.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
It was early June and time for the school's summer fete. And the highlight this year was the go-karts, which had been hired from the local speedway. So I don't think this would happen now.
Wow, that definitely would happen now.
The go-kart had been put up in the tennis courts at our school. It was converted by a lot of bales of hay, because that's all you need.
Safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fine.
Really
My
safe.
friend Jim and I only had a shilling each, which for Holly is 5p, which was the cost of one round of the go-karts. So So we both had one go, and being two 12-year-old boys, we thought it was fantastic.
Yes.
We had never driven before, obviously, because this was 1963, and 12-year-olds were not allowed to do anything, which was totally unfair. Nowadays, we'd be TikToking and Snapchatting, but not in 1963, when we just had Etch-a-Sketch and Spirograph or Spinning Tops and the Beano and bomb sights.
Bomb sights.
Yeah. Anyway, having had one go on the go-karts, naturally, we wanted another go. But the problem was we had no money. Not one farthing, not one shilling, not one halfpenny.
No, all of those.
We didn't have any money, basically.
No money.
And then I noticed that the school prefects who gave out our tickets just put them straight back into a school desk and didn't bother looking at them once they'd been used. Not much of an example, huh? So I had this devious idea that if I could get 2 of these tickets when no one was looking, then Jim and I could get on this ride for nothing. So I crept over to the desk that contained the tickets and nonchalantly lifted up the desk top ever so slightly. I reached in with 2 fingers and I borrowed 2 tickets. When I say they were borrowed, as hopefully I could put them back after the ride.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went back to Jim and gave him his ticket and suggested he went first. Jim's answer was, "You nicked him, you go first." What a coward, I thought. Anyway, so over I went, produced my ticket, and sure enough, the stupid prefects never even looked at it. I was on. Fantastic. And I was bombing around, and a man with a camera was waving at me to slow down as I was clearly breaking whatever limit there was. But I was having too much fun. Get out of my way. I'm Fangio or Sterling Moss. There's wind in my hair, rebellion in my heart. And then it happened. One of the wheels of my go-kart caught the wheel of someone else's go-kart.
Oh, no.
And before I knew it, I went straight through the tennis court fence. And the next thing I knew, I flew out of the go-kart and landed on the grass. My go-kart was last seen shooting off down the sports field, still going, causing parents and staff to dive for cover. Well, I remember now holding my knee with a lot of pain, and very soon an ambulance arrived, and then my parents arrived, and I was duly deposited in the ambulance and off to the local hospital. Apparently, I had a broken leg and a broken ankle.
Ouch.
Oh dear.
So, Father Simon, obviously I don't seek forgiveness for my stealing of the tickets from the prefects, as, let's be honest, they were pretty thick, but from the ambulance crew and the hospital nurses and the doctors who ended up with dealing with a boy with a broken leg and a knee when they shouldn't have had to deal with that kind of thing. I have carried this burden for nearly 65 years, and the only people who know of my theft is Anne, my wife, and Jim, who's sadly no longer with us. But they say every cloud has a silver lining because I got 4 weeks off school and I missed the summer exams. Ha ha!
Hey!
So everything was fine. And because, of course, that's how you have to measure these things. Mick stole some tickets, got on the go-karts, he got his comeuppance. Maybe he's suffered enough. Sister Susie will pronounce here.
Well, Mick, you got what's coming to you, really, didn't you? You shouldn't have stolen from the prefects. That's just, also, you were a bit rude to a prefects, and I was a prefect, so therefore, I don't think.
But
I
you would have
agree
been a
with what
better
you're saying.
prefect. You wouldn't have just chucked him back in.
I would have been a better prefect. I wouldn't have chucked it back in. There would have been a system with a stamp or something. It would have been very, very clear. But I do feel sorry for you. Broken ankle, broken leg doesn't sound great, but you shouldn't have stole the tickets. So therefore, not forgiven.
1963. How do you create a go-kart track? You get the tennis court and put some hay in it. I'm sure that'll be fine. Brother Matthew.
Yeah, I'm going to forgive, as we've already put it. I mean, the system with the tickets, that was no system at all. You need to rip up the tickets. That's what they did with tickets, didn't it? And but they just put them in the desk. And the prefects were a bit thick, not like Sue's. Sue's wouldn't have been thick, but definitely those prefects were very thick. And how did the go-kart keep going when it had gone through the fence? No one knows. Mystery. It should have
Momentum.
stopped. Well, no, because he'd gone out, hadn't he? Broken his leg, in his ankle and his knee, it turned out. So, very bad day for him all round, Mick. So, for all those reasons, I'm going to forgive.
Not quite sure what the reason is.
The reason because of the leg and the system and the go-kart that was in a mind of its own.
Okay, all right.
Field.
Here's the people's verdict, please. Do you forgive Mick, yes or no? 61054, first word is Simon. On the way, before the news, we had a confession. Food, by the way, from Nigel very shortly. We had a confession from Mick. We're back to the early 60s. There was a school fete. There were go-karts. He stole some tickets, had a crash, broken leg, broken ankle, broken knee. The verdicts are in. Here we go.
Not forgiven, says Barry on the M1. The fact he went way too fast on the go-kart and nearly crashed it into the crowd was bad enough, but he also stole the tickets from the prefects. Bad behaviour all round. But Emily in North London says forgiven. He was only young and having a laugh. Ultimately, the prefects should have been checking tickets properly. So this is their fault. And Phil, an ex-police officer, says forgiven. No offence committed. Definition of theft under the Theft Act is to dishonestly appropriate something with the intention of permanently depriving somebody of the item.
Yes.
He didn't permanently deprive them of it because they got it back, clutching at straws.
Okay, that's very good. Informed. How about that? That's very good. Thank you for the verdicts. Thank you for your confessions. You can send them to confessions@greatesthitsradio.co.uk.